Hey, I did my check-in for my book and I haven't started another audiobook on my way home. Um, so I guess it's a dark episode, which I think I will talk about clrks for a moment. Sort of just a thing of how clrks, God help me, may not reflect my life, but have affected my life, be a bit of a symbol of my life. I don't know about my life. I'm not a clerk. I have a profession. It's slightly better paid than a convenience store clerk. I'm talking about Kevin Smith's movie, um, which came out probably when I was a young man in my 20s, and it's about young guys in their 20s and dead end jobs. Which actually I did have fairly dead end jobs for a good hunk of my life. I wouldn't consider what I have now a dead end job. I don't know what it means by dead end job. It means it doesn't have a future. I mean, I guess I've got a pension. Does that mean it's not? However, why I want to talk about it is that I was listening to a podcast as I'm going home, and the critics, William Bibiani and Sebald, damn it, William Sebald, Bibbs and Whitney, were talking about, of critically acclaimed podcasts, we're talking about clerks, basically because of some failed pilot that they're going to talk about, but they're giving a little context at the beginning. And they're talking about how the movie sort of changed things at the time, changed dialogue, changed maybe just sort of a certain kind of, gave a new viewpoint, which, at the time was seen as a thing because it was disaffected young 20-year-old dudes yakking away about popular culture, which, disaffected white straight dudes yakking away about popular culture is so omnipresent right now that it is not, it is the banal wallpaper of the thing, and I'll get back to that in a moment, and my place in the wallpaper. But I was thinking about this of the time, because this is pre the explosion, real saturating deep explosion of the internet, which gave everyone a platform, or gave, not everyone, gave a good hunk of the population a platform. And I mean, that's been expanding because, for a good hunk of time there, it probably was more affluent white, probably dudes who had this platform to be able to yak. But Kevin Smith kind of came in just at the beginning of that, and it's sort of like actually a kind of a thing of the pre times where, um, this kind of talk wasn't captured in podcasts or YouTube things. It was, you yacked about stuff like this with your friends. You had obsessions, you're nerds or whatever, and you had obsessions and you talked about them, and you applied them to your life, and you kind of thought about them in varying levels of critical ideas. But it wasn't something that academia was doing with like literature and stuff like this. This was, just something that friends would do. And Kevin Smith documented this just at a cusp point before the internet exploded. Um, because after this point, suddenly all those conversations became podcasts, became YouTube, became probably Twitter. I wouldn't know because I'm not on Twitter. It became all this. It became, the vlogs, or people's websites, and then became, YouTube and podcasts and everything like that. Now everybody has a podcast. Everyone has a YouTube channel. Hey, I even have two YouTube channels. Um, but it was like, I think that sort of key in there of what made Kevin Smith sort of a zeitgeist person. Um, and probably why he went on. Now his gig is actually doing podcasts where basically he sits around, yakking about, popular culture, and I find that I don't really interested in listening to him in long form. I listen. I watch little YouTube clips of him um, sometimes, but that's about it. His obsessions aren't my obsessions. But at the time, back in the day, that was a thing, and something about clerks, especially, kind of really got that. It's funny because I think about what's it, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. There was a thing about them getting pissed off about this new thing called the internet, and how dudes in their basements were talking crap about them online, and they wanted to go and beat up each one of these guys individually. And I had to have Ben Affleck kind of explain to them, like, look, this is some teenager. Do you really want to go and beat him up? It's like, yeah, sure we do. Because that's Jay and Silent Bob. But it's like they are the kind of the grandfathers. Big Kevin Smith is the grandfather of a lot of this stuff, um, which is this interesting moment. Which brings me back to myself, because you know I talk about books, but I think I talk about books in probably more of a Kevin Smith level of of talking about and going into stuff than I do about than I have a feeling my ancestors aren't um, the literary isn't the professor in the course. It's probably more as a enthusiast hobbyist person, applying this to my own life and how it makes me feel versus maybe doing a general survey and doing the themes and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just a little tip of like, this is this movie, which is an okay movie, but it came along at a certain point at a certain time, and I think it probably affected me. Well, it probably has, because I've been yakking. I found my medium, God help me, on YouTube, and really enjoy doing these little chats, um, which are, sometimes they're just with myself, and sometimes I actually share them with others or inflict them on others. But yeah, it's like hats off to Kevin Smith for that, or just and as much as he's benefited from that more than he's been hurt by that. I think so. I think he seems to have made a life for himself out of all this stuff. Um, but yeah, he's actually kind of a part of my life in this way. It's interesting how it's like, oh, this is how something, some work, some bauble, some silly movie can reverberate and affect people, or even just be a symbol of that, of how the world has changed and how it's affected, how that change has affected people. I'm not giving it all to Kevin Smith. There's some guys who put this internet thing together, who created these massive structures that I now live in. It's like this giant warren of this giant edifice, this giant cathedral. And Kevin Smith is a flagstone, and I'm like a mouse living up in the rafters somewhere. So that's where we're at. That's just my ramble for the day. All right, more videos later.